Welcome back. Today we are undertaking one of our most fascinating deep dives yet. We're looking at a theory that attempts to blend biblical chronology, extraordinarily precise astronomy, and, well, numerical patterns to forecast a pretty extraordinary future event. The source material we're digging into really treats the cosmos as a kind of divine clock.
That's a great way to put it. We are diving into a specific calculation and theory proposed by Louis B. Vega. He's developed what he calls a triangulation template. And the methodology is, let's say, ambitious. It posits that the timeline established during the Nativity wasn't just a historical accident, but a divinely designed chronometer.
So our mission here, just to be very clear for everyone listening, is to understand how he applies this historical timestamp,
Yeah.
from the conception, birth, and flight to Egypt, and then superimposes that onto a modern celestial alignment.
Exactly. Our goal isn't to validate the prophecy itself, but to completely unpack the mathematical and, I guess, theological scaffolding that holds it all up.
We want to know how the author arrives at this very specific predicted date, July 23, 2026. And it all hinges on one core numerical pattern, right?
It does. The entire theory rests on calculating the precise time span between those three historical markers. And when you triangulate those dates, you get this non-negotiable template of 2 years and 14 days.
2 years and 14 days.
And the theorist argues that this span reflects a kind of divine design, maybe even linked to mathematical constants like the phi ratio. So the thinking is, if that pattern is sacred, then applying it to a recent major celestial sign should trigger a prophetic countdown.
Okay, so let's unpack this historical template because the entire foundation relies on these three dates. But most historians would say these dates are, disputed. How does the author lock in the starting point with such certainty?
Well, for the theorist, the conception of Jesus is fixed precisely to December 14th minus 4 BC.
Minus 4 BC.
And this date isn't arbitrary. It's anchored in the Torah calendar. Specifically, he places the first day of Hanukkah, the Jewish Feast of Lights, on that exact date.
The Feast of Lights. Wow, that immediately gives it a really strong theological weight, linking the light of the world concept to the timing of conception.
It does. And he provides a detailed celestial map for that moment, centered on what astronomers call the Golden Gate in the sky. We don't need to list every planet, but the point is the alignment was already seen as exceptional, signaling divine activity.
So if that's the conception, then exactly 9 months later, we arrive at the second marker, the birth.
Exactly. The birth date is fixed at September 11th, minus 3 BC, a perfect 9-month human gestation period later. And crucially, this date corresponds to Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year.
Which is often associated with prophetic beginnings, the king's coronation, things like that.
Precisely. And the astronomy for that date is what a lot of people might be familiar with. It's all focused on Virgo and Leo. This is where Jupiter, the king planet, was in conjunction with Regulus, the king star, inside Leo, the king sign.
So you have the king planet meeting the king star in the king constellation.
Yes. And the whole alignment was already approximating the famous Revelation 12 sign, providing this incredible celestial backdrop for the king's arrival.
Okay, let's move to the third marker, which completes the template. The flight to Egypt. Where does that land, and what's its role here?
That date is set at December 25th, minus 2 BC. The source labels this as the time of the Magi's visitation. And right after the Magi left, the Bible says an angel of the Lord warned Joseph in a dream to flee that very night. That urgency is key.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting, because he starts connecting this ancient history to prophecy. Why is the flight to Egypt, which sounds like a fearful escape, viewed as a rapture typology?
Well, the theorist points to a pattern of divine intervention. You have angelic apparitions at the conception, the birth, and here the flight. The urgent warning to flee, accompanied by the angel, mirrors the concept of a quick, sudden extraction, a warning followed by an immediate removal.
So the template, the 2 years and 14 days, is the time between the start of the incarnation and the first extraction typology. That's a powerful internal logic.
It is, and it connects directly back to that Revelation 12 sign we mentioned. The source suggests the concept of the rapture is actually encoded in that passage. Revelation 12 describes the man-child being instantly caught up to the throne of Jehovah.
And that phrase, caught up, is the Greek word harpazo.
Harpazo. The very technical term often used in these theological discussions about the rapture, so he's seeing a pattern where the historical nativity sequence is foreshadowing the prophetic end-time sequence.
And there's another layer to this, right? The reversal of Exodus typology.
Yes, this is a fascinating point. Think about the original Exodus. The enslaved Hebrews left Egypt, taking gold and riches from the Egyptians.
Right.
In this reversal, the Magi from Persia bring gold and gifts before the Holy Family departs to Egypt. It's a symbolic inversion.
Okay, before we jump to the modern day, there's a technical note we have to cover. Something about year zero.
This is crucial for the whole thing to work. When you use modern astronomical software like Stellarium to check these ancient dates, you have to remember there is no year zero.
No, year zero.
So any date before BC is off by 1 year in the software. The historical date of -4 BC has to be input as -3 BC to get an accurate sky map. It's an obscure but critical detail for the accuracy the theorist claims.
All right, so now we transition from that 2,000-year-old pattern to the modern day. We need a new celestial anchor point to restart the clock.
And the author finds one. The modern starting point is fixed at May 23, 2024. This was a significant conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, the king planet, meeting the morning star.
Another crease star. But what makes this 2024 alignment so significant? Why this one?
It's the geometric context. This alignment didn't just happen on its own. It triangulated with the Pleiades star cluster in Taurus.
The Pleiades, the Seven Sisters.
Exactly. And the theorist interprets this configuration specifically as a rapture sign. It signifies Jupiter the king coming for his bride.
And the bride's identified with the Pleiades. How does he make that connection?
It's a direct interpretive link. The 7 prominent stars of the Pleiades are connected to the 7 churches of Asia from the Book of Revelation. So the celestial sign is the king coming for the church.
Okay, so we have our modern starting date, May 23rd, 2024. But the theorist doesn't start the countdown there. This is where it gets complex. There's a 45-day adjustment factor.
Right, and this 45-day factor is the necessary bridge to make the template fit. It's the estimated time the Magi took to travel from Persia to Bethlehem.
Wait, why is the travel time of the Magi relevant to a modern timeline?
Because the Magi's arrival triggered the end of the historical template, the flight to Egypt. So by adding their travel time, the theorist is syncing the modern celestial observation with the start of that ancient action sequence. It's about aligning the patterns.
I see. But why 45 days specifically? That seems incredibly precise.
It is. The justification comes from comparing other biblical journeys. Ezra's trip with families and supplies took about 120 days, but Nehemiah's trip was a royal caravan, faster, more disciplined. Those trips are estimated to have taken between 45 and 75 days, so the theorist chooses the faster 45-day trek for the calculation.
Okay, let's trace the final calculation. Let's put all these pieces together for everyone listening.
All right, we begin with the modern celestial anchor. May 23rd, 2024, the Jupiter-Venus-Pleiades conjunction.
Then you add the 45-day trek of Magi factor.
That addition brings us to an adjusted starting point of July 7th, 2024.
And finally, you apply the historical template, the 2 years and 14 days.
You do. And the final calculation lands precisely on July 23rd, 2026.
July 23rd, 2026. So what's the significance of that specific date for the author?
This date corresponds directly to the theorist's long-standing new wine rapture theory, which he links to the Acts 2 Pentecost. The entire elaborate sequence, the historical triangulation, the Pleiades, the Magi's travel, it's all meticulously built to arrive at and reinforce the specific predetermined date.
And this is where we have to provide some crucial, impartial context. The author is actually very transparent about the challenges here.
He is, very much so. He openly acknowledges that he could be accused of engaging in mathematical gymnastics. He also notes a natural bias in fitting this template to his preferred July 23rd theory. It's important to remember the whole prediction rests on accepting 3 disputed historical dates and that 45-day adjustment.
It is a fascinating exercise in chronology and beliefs, though. The process of connecting these points across millennia is just astonishingly complex.
And while the prediction itself is full of caveats, and the author has noted that other predictions haven't panned out, the belief system that guides it is profound. The source suggests that the Mazzaroth, the Hebrew term for the 12 signs of the zodiac, is fundamentally an astronomical story of Jesus Christ hidden in plain sight.
So, if prophecy and astronomy are truly linked in this way, as the theorist claims, it leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? What other historical events might be waiting for a specific mathematical template, a precise chronological span, to reveal their ultimate modern purpose? It makes you wonder how many countdowns might be hidden in history, just waiting for the right lens to bring them into focus.
Something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.